41% of the police force, their work is focused on the administrative, and we have a huge pool from the 106,000 PDRM officers. A lot of them, a huge number of them actually work to manage internal security. Thanks to the British, we have inherited this system, but we no longer face the Cold War era, no longer face the communist insurgency. So certainly these reforms have to be made so the police focus on day-to-day crime, criminal activities. Investigating officers have to be increased, a number of them. And Pakatan Rakyat, in fact, disagrees with the additional 25,000 policemen that will be added by 2015. 80,000 policemen. That's the plan under Hishamuddin, the Home Minister. Because for us, it's not about more policemen. Our ratio now stands 1 policeman for every 270 Malaysians. The Interpol standard is 1 policeman for 250 members of the public. So we're not that far off. The problem is the focus. We have to shift the priorities so that day-to-day patrolling, the safety of the ordinary citizens become the major concern for the Royal Malaysian Police Force. And certainly I don't need any special branch officers to be living in London, coming to attend my programs, because I have CC recording my session. We can even send the police a copy so they can investigate whether I said something out of the ordinary. So frankly, these are our pledges, our plans. And in the recent convention, Mr. Granger, we had the Tawaran Jingle. We used the orange line. Young people supposedly like the color orange, versus the government transformation program is dark blue. So trying to package ourselves better. But the focus was on the civil servants, specifically the SBPA scheme. There's a remuneration scheme, pension scheme in Malaysia that has caused the uproar of the civil service. Second is on the Felda sectors, the rural scheme coined in the 70s, and making sure that they have greater rights in the plantation scheme. The third, of course, with regards to freedom that needs to be given to students, specifically with regards to abolishment of the University Colleges Act. And finally, which is incorporated in our long-term plan, abolishing printing permits and printing presses and publications Act, and replace it with the Media Council, similar to the UK. Of course, Rupert Murdoch's scandal didn't help much, but the point is we must aspire to be the best. And I believe our biggest challenge is access to the media. I mean, you want electorates to choose, but when you don't have the avenue to speak and you don't have airtime on television or the print media, then it makes it more difficult. Relying on old traditional methods, of course, we don't have much time to counter most of the attacks, but for me, that's why we need your help. At the very least, read our proposals. You can criticize them, but it's very important to compare apple to apple, or compare the two programs before we decide to choose who should be leading Malaysia. And the third question, of course, is what's my vision of Malaysia? Most of my pronouncements, of course, encapsulated in Pakatan Rakyat's plans. I invite you to read some of my articles I've written on the Malaysian Insider. If you can Google it, www.malaysianinsider, themalaysianinsider.com, because it's free, and you know, most of it is stated there very clearly. And for me, one of the biggest breakthroughs was when in March last year, we submitted a private member's bill to end the emergency proclamation in Malaysia. There's 4 in total, 1 declared null and void because of a court verdict. And you know, for me it was very disappointing because it was rejected by the speaker, and we had a host of other laws to replace existing laws created under the emergency at the time. It's about 4 volumes in total. And the reason given by the minister, Dr. Sri Nazri Aziz, was Malaysian government feels we still need the emergency proclamation because it addresses relevant needs. And lo and behold, 6 months later, the Prime Minister said, we no longer need the emergency proclamations, we must do away with it and abolish it. So, which he did in the second parliamentary session. But my position is this, my point is this, that it is always important to have a very strong opposition, a very effective opposition, because that's how you affect from 800 ringgit to 3,000 ringgit for those in need of assistance. That's how you affect, you know, I remember passing to the Prime Minister the bill to end emergency proclamation the first day of Parliament. I said, YAB, please take it. You can stamp BN, the BN logo on it. I don't mind, as long as you end the emergency, because for me, again, you know, whoever controls the government, it's going to be the same Malaysia you inherit. And, you know, I said this before, and I will say it again, I'll end with this, that I believe, and Tariq Ramadan attested this, you know, the fact that in Malaysia, what we should start with is multiculturalism is a fact. I mean, it's a fact of this is our reality. There's no going for it or against it. So for me, going forward, that's something you have to believe in and to move towards. In Malaysia, you know the demographic, 60% definitely will be made up of Malays. We have a higher fertility rate. Okay, I only got 2 kids, but you know, and this is going to be the sort of development that we will see in the future. So certainly, what do you want? You want a confident Malay society, but we have to stop talking about race if you want to build Malaysia. Because at the end of the day, you look at the World Bank report specifically on brain drain. About 2 million Malaysians have left the country since independence. And they keep saying, okay, most of them are non-Malays. And I know certain NGOs, certain groups are saying, you know, these are non-Malays, this is mostly Chinese. But honestly, I don't care. Because for me, one Malaysian living abroad and not being able to be part of Malaysia's economic and also political development is a loss to us all. So we all have to start embracing those sorts of ideals. And I disagree with you when you say that there are some Malays unhappy with this development, especially when you want to help those in need of help from other races. But who's speaking? Who's criticizing? It's only Perkasa. I mean, and they came to being when? About the same time when the new economic model was introduced. I mean, it's a relatively new entity. We're not talking about kaum muda or even earlier Malay constructs. For me, this is a new NGO headed by whom? Headed by a member of parliament who didn't contest on UMNO seat, contested in the past seat, who got the project, the bridge project in Pasir Mas because of his political connections. So Malays know this. People in the rural areas do not discount, you know, their understanding. I mean, I remember going to Kedah, and also, where was that? It was in Pahang, Pelangai, Taman Pelangai, quite far out, terrible roads. And by the time we got there, you know, people really knew about the 250 million National Feedlot Center scandal that was, you know, given to the wife of the husband of a prominent minister. But the point is, they feel it because they are farmers. They rear chicken, they rear other animals. So, for me, the trick is to communicate to them. You have the new economic policy in place since the 70s. And you still have 80% of rural poor made up of Malays. You still have those earning 1,500 ringgit and below, 70% are Malays. So certainly, you know, they know things have to be improved. We're not saying that, you know, we discount their fears. For me, it's important. There's someone actually asked me a question today. Are you going to do away with Article 153? I said no. You have to understand the difference. Pakatan Rakyat position is we defend whatever is enshrined in the Federal Constitution, will not amend any articles. But the special position of the Malay is different from the new economic policy. So I think it's very important to go down and explain these issues, but we must start with the foundation that we are in this together, including the NMPs. I have no qualm saying that we are in this together. So once you start with a more conciliatory, I mean, it's not easy, to be fair, easy for you to say when you're not faced with tear gas or etc. But the point is, you have to let go of that, because the business of governing, the business of Malaysia, the future of our country is beyond me, beyond you, beyond the saviors of the next generation. It is rightly the cause that should be fought for by all Malaysians.